but cats may as well. So if you have, take a block today. If you don't, today a container might be good, because we want to use this block to sit on and to squeeze in. We won't need it right now from the beginning, but you might want to place that by the side of your mat. And then we shall start lying down on the backs. So as you make your way down, you might step your feet down onto the ground. You might choose to open the arms a little bit. And if you like, you can even extend your legs out long, but otherwise knees coming in together. I would ask you to shuffle the shoulders a little bit, to move a bit through the hips, no matter your positioning of legs, and to try and find a spot that's comfortable. Now, if in the morning you might feel a little bit tired, and the same applied if you did this class later in the day, you could keep your eyes open and just finding a steady gaze point. For example, there's that one dot here on the very white ceiling. Something like that. Don't get annoyed about if there actually is a dot, just noticing that we can fix our gaze and get to a very similar response in the body as if we were to close our eyes. So these are your choices for now, and I would ask you to hold that position and to simply start checking in at first, and to notice how your positioning of the body actually works for you. So listening into your own response. Is the positioning of your legs correct in the way they are right now? Or did you place them there out of habit and you need to change them to be comfortable for now? In particular, there would be a response in the lower back and around your pelvis, sometimes in the legs too. And as you check in with this lower part of your body, you might as well also check in with your feet, and your toes. And you then extend your awareness into your torso, maybe including the arms, the shoulders, the hands. Just noticing how are you there. And anything you might feel right now is just like anything else in our lives, impermanent, that will change. Maybe not in this class, but maybe you're able to contribute to change through this practice. Also have a check-in with your head, not only for potential tension and sensations, but also for thoughts. And today I've picked a card for our practice. So while you might begin to gently deepen your breathing and maybe aim for full yogic breathing, the card is taken from the secret language of color. And the color that came up is magenta. It states on the card that this color is about connecting to your deepest inner knowing. And isn't that what we always want, as that taps into that aspect of svadhyaya, self-study? It further says here, magenta is the color of your deepest inner knowing. It inspires truth, clarity, and faith. Magenta can awaken your enthusiasm for life and inspire you to connect to the higher realm of spirituality. It can also assist you with your journey of self-discovery, as I mentioned already. So I invite you, as you deepen your breaths, to bring the color magenta to your awareness. It is pictured here on the card as a flower. So if you have trouble just seeing a color in your mind, you might invite a flower in this color into your awareness. And with that, creating an invitation to take care of yourself as you're exploring yourself with the mind, as well as with the movement or the asana aspect of our practice. I will ask you, if your legs are out long now, to change nothing but to step your feet onto the ground. To breathe in still from belly up to ribs and then to collarbones. And then as you're breathing out, drawing your lower abdomen inwards and pulling that towards the tailbone. So with the feet on the ground, your spine is now flattening out. And then as you're inhaling, the belly expands again. Start to deliberately arch away from the floor. And when you're breathing out, activating the lower belly again, as you imagine, you can pull that right to the tailbone, the spine's flat on the ground as we're deflating with the exhalation. And with the inhalation, again, arching away from the floor with the lower back, but breathing upright to your collarbones. And then on the exhale, again, pulling in through the lower belly, releasing. Keep playing with this breath. Activation and release, the arching away from the ground and the flattening of the spine. Do so for 3 more breaths. Allowing yourself to breathe in deeply and to exhale completely. And whenever you have had your 3 breaths, you can release this technique, and just reminding yourself occasionally of that activation of the lower abdomen to help us stabilize and engage with the core. We will then take our right knee into the chest and just give that a good squeeze. And you could extend your left leg out as we do so. I invite you to just pause here for a moment in that light stretch. And you could have a play around here with pointing and flexing through the left foot and the impact that activation through the extended leg might have for you. If all of this feels good, on your next out breath, lifting your nose up towards the knee and maybe holding here and maybe lifting the extended leg just a tiny bit off the floor. Then releasing the body back down and letting your right leg extend up while you're taking a hold behind the leg, encouraging the heel up towards the ceiling at first. And then your toes pointing up. And you might start to pull the leg in as you're flexing the foot again. Letting it go a little as you're pointing the toes back upwards. And then flexing again as you're pulling in. So be kind here, the body's still cold, and just pointing the toes up as you let that stretch go a bit. And then we're flexing again as we're pulling in. Do that twice more, just pointing a slight release of the hold and flexing as you're hugging in a little bit more. 1 more time. And you might briefly choose to hold the leg hugged in as we inhale here. And if that works for you, on the out breath, lifting your nose up and maybe taking your hands a little bit higher. You could then bend the knee while you're releasing towards the mat and stepping your right foot onto the ground while you bring your left knee into the chest, and you can hold onto that knee as you give that a tight hug. If available to you, let the right leg extend out, keeping your left knee hugged in towards the chest. You could explore again a pointing and flexing of the right foot. So the leg that is extended is moving, and that foot is very used to the movement now, but still focus on the sensations you're getting through that extended leg within the hold of the bent knee. Now with your next out breath, could you lift your nose up towards the knee, and there's the option of letting the right leg just hover above the ground. Then releasing the body back down onto the floor and extending the left leg up to the ceiling, maybe taking a hold behind the thigh or wherever is comfortable as we flex the foot, pointing the heel up towards the ceiling. And then pointing the toes upwards, just exploring the length coming through front and back of the leg. And if you choose to do so, flex and pull in a little. Let that slightly release as we're pointing. And then flexing again, pulling in. Pointing for a slight release. And then keep that flowing for a moment. Just pointing and flexing with the foot. Releasing and hugging in a bit more tightly. Last one, and you might hold that last one, the foot in a light flexion, the leg drawn in towards you. And if you like, on the next out breath, then lift your nose up towards the knee, and the hands could slide a little bit higher up the leg. Allowing yourself then to lie back down, to bend the knee, step the foot to the ground, take the other foot onto the mat as well, arms out a little bit wider, and we're letting our knees just rock a little bit from side to side, away from that straight alignment of the pelvis to a subtle release. And if you want to work with your neck too, start rolling your head while the head is rested on the floor a few times from side to side. So once we've done that a few rounds, we will center ourselves again. And if possible, let both legs come out long. This is possible with the feet on the ground, just maybe preferable with the legs out long, as that makes it a little bit stronger. The arms can extend up over the head onto the floor. I will keep mine loosely to take care, especially of my left arm. But for you, you can extend the arms just straight up over the head and quite active. We'll take an inhale where we're lifting just the left leg and the left arm a little bit off the ground and stretching into them. And while we're breathing out, we're then drawing our elbow and knee of the opposite side together over the body. Now we will then lower that back down onto the floor. And while we next inhale, doing the same with the left arm and the right leg just off the floor and extending. And with the out breath, then drawing elbow and knee together over the body. We will lower that back down. So let's bring that into a deeper variation. As we inhale, we might already lift the head. And as we exhale, draw the nose towards the knee as you bring elbow and knee together, then releasing that back down. Lifting, squeeze on the exhale, release, lift, squeeze, release, lift, squeeze, release. I think you got that now, so we continue that for a few more. If you find it too hard to lift the head together with the straight limbs, you could always leave it down for that time and maybe then lift the head only when you're squeezing elbow, knees and nose in towards each other. Allowing this very same movement now for another 3 with each diagonal. However strong or gentle you have decided to move. And when you have completed those rounds, you will lie back down. Let your arms soften back down, but away from the body. Stepping your feet up, and no rush. If you're still moving, that's fine. We will end up with the feet off the floor, the knees over the chest, the arms out to either side. And we'll come back into a light twisting action. The knees do not have to touch the floor, nor does the head have to turn. But if you find any of that appropriate for you, you could take it that far. Just that movement from one side to the other. And maybe that last one. And then bring your knees for a deep hug into the chest. And you could stay with a rocking movement now from side to side to begin with. And then you might rock yourself a few times forward and backwards. If that's not suitable, you can always roll over onto your side instead. We're coming into a seated position. If you can sit with ease flat on the floor for the first part, by all means do so, but you might as well prop yourself up to sit with a little bit more ease. I would love to bring in a little bit of Bastrika. Now, my left arm doesn't like this movement whatsoever at the moment, but if your arms and shoulders are feeling happy, you can always do the arm movement. It's not essential for the breathing practice. So in comparison with Kapalabhati, which you might be aware of, there we only pull in the lower belly. With the Bastrika, we're kind of pulling the whole belly inwards as we breathe out. And you could also breathe out of the mouth for this one rather than the nose, if you like. So both arms would lift up as you inhale. The fingers will spread out as you do so. And then when you're pulling in with fists right down towards your shoulders, at the same time, your belly pulls strongly in. So it might look like this. Both arms lifting, fingers spread out, pulling in with the fists on that exhale. So let's do a fair few rounds. I will join in. You can use the arms. I won't. Let's go. Inhale, fingers spreading. Pull the belly in. Full inhale through the nose. So it's quite fast, but not too fast. 2 more. And then closing the eyes as you rest the hands down, pause for a few breaths. You could have a sensation of light dizziness here, so please do breathe deeply, yet in a relaxed way while we're pausing. I will invite you to repeat that, and please apply your own count. About 10 rounds only. Begin again with full extension of both arms, spreading your fingers out. Inhale and pull down, pull back with the tummy. After 10, you will pause again, observe and breathe. We will take this into one last round. Please feel free to make adjustments, as in maybe not moving the arms if this is too strong for you as well. Let's begin with a deep in-breath, arms extending. If you choose to, spread out your fingers, and let's go for 10 more. And you will rest again down after the 10 rounds. I do recommend to remove any prop that you might be sitting on for now, and maybe even changing the cross of the legs. We will stretch both arms up to the ceiling as we're inhaling now. And we're pulling in with fists as we're breathing out, and we're pulling one elbow further back for a twist to one side. While we're inhaling, stretching both arms up, and while we're exhaling, pull the fists in one elbow a bit more to encourage into a twist. Inhaling as we reach up, exhaling as we pull, and twist. Inhaling, reach up, exhale, pull and twist. Keep going like this, 3 more to each side. So we're going quite deeply into the spine, not just the lower, but we're encouraging mid to upper back as well by pulling one elbow a little bit further back. Once you've done your 3 rounds, let us briefly extend the legs forward. I will ask you to pull the knees up a little bit and maybe to take a pistol grip of your big toes. Lengthen the spine and keep your gaze forward while we're inhaling. And then with the exhale, let your legs just slide out a little bit further, noticing a potential lengthening, not only in the backs of the legs, but also along your back. Keeping your shoulders in their sockets, and the heels might slide a little bit further out, but keep your gaze forward, your shoulders down. We will now take a change here as we come up into a standing position. As we rise up into standing, I will guide you into a side stretch at first. So you might want to stand with the feet a little bit wider, the knees just out of the lock so your pelvis can come into a comfortable position. I will ask you to leave the arms by the sides, but to turn the palms of the hands forward as we inhale here. And now with the exhale, just leaning down towards the right side, you could turn your gaze downwards, and we'll just explore the sensations here coming across the left side, maybe of the pelvis, along the spine. And you could then start to place your left hand into the side of the waist and see if that extra support might take you a little bit deeper into your side bend. Or you might even start to extend the left arm over the head, trying to do so with the palm facing down at first, deepening your side bend as your right hand might gently support that shape now on the side of the leg. If you want to take it even deeper, you might tuck your chin in towards the armpit and turn the palm of the hand up as you press out through the heel of the hand. Staying here, 3 breaths. You can then unlock your knees. Let that arm roll forward and down as you press down to the feet to rise back up to standing and turning the palms of your hands now forward again. So while we're standing nice and tall again, connect to the feet, the crown of the head reaching upwards. So we're starting from a tall standing position. And with the next out, by starting to lean over to the left, not quite changing the arms yet, but you might change your gaze as you could look down towards the floor. While we're feeling now into the right side of the body and the effect that this subtle side bend has on this side, you could make first changes, such as placing your hand into the side of the waist, which might allow you to go a little bit deeper. If you're happy here, you might reach your arm up over the head. Please keep holding your arm over the head. And you might turn your gaze and tuck the chin in, so to look upwards now. If you feel you could do with some extra support, the lower hand could rest to the side of the leg. And if you want to extend that even more, turn the palm of the hand upwards and press out through the heel of the hand while we're holding again here for a little while. Last breath in the shape, and to release, do the same, just soften your knees, rolling the body forward. And then standing back up as we release the arms and step our feet a little bit closer together. Now, I recommend to stand at the front of the mat now. You can have your feet actually touching, or you can keep them at hip distance, whichever works best for your chair poses, to put it straight. Let's take a breath in, both arms lifting up towards the ceiling. And as we're breathing out, let's come into chair pose and placing your hands in front of the chest. So one of the easier versions of a chair. We want to establish ourselves here, grounding through the feet, keeping sit bones open, lower abdominal muscles on. And you can choose to keep your hands right here. If you want to make it a little bit stronger, start to bring your hands into the side of the waist, and you're kind of getting in touch now with the lower abdomen, gently pulling in to support the shape. If you want to go even stronger, placing your fingertips, both hands behind the head, your choice. Notice if you're collapsing in the upper body, in that case, bring them back down to the waist. Otherwise, you might keep both hands resting behind the head. As we hold our chair pose in whatever variation, start to peel the heels off the floor. Trying to find your balance there. Then let's lower the heels. Hands might still be behind the head. We're holding our chair pose and lifting the right knee up. Keep the other leg bent as you begin to extend the leg backwards to step the leg into a lunge. Bending that back knee as you might keep your hands resting behind the head Start to open your body and start to push with your hands gently against the back of the head so you're fully supported. Then let us release the arms upwards and center our torso. While we're now bending over towards the side. Holding here as you might turn your gaze downwards. Back knee could still be in a bend. And we're then swirling that around as we bring our hands to touch into a twisted lunge. You can extend now through the right heel if you choose to. And while we're inhaling, then opening both arms, one down on the outside of the leg, one reaching upwards. Pushing into the front leg, don't change anything in your legs, but reach the top arm back behind and the other one over the head. And here, the back knee might bend again, like a twisted, exalted warrior, but from a lunge. From here, we will take a huge windmill as we place the top hand now down onto the floor and lifting the other arm up towards the ceiling. Now this could take us into a side plank if you choose to. If you want that side plank to be supported, please bring the back knee down onto the floor. Otherwise, roll to the outer edge of the foot there. We will from there slide the front foot back and you could lift that off the ground or not. Your choice. You can have a full side plank now or right knee on the ground, left leg lifted. Beautiful. Let's land both knees down if you want to, or both feet as you come into a plank or a kneeling plank. Lightly tucking your tailbone down towards the heels. And we're then exhaling to lower down onto the mat. Releasing even the forehead down. We're extending both arms out long. Both legs out long, and we're separating both. So we're looking a bit like a starfish lying on the belly. As we now breathe in, we're picking up the theme from the beginning. Right arm, right leg is lifting, head and chest coming off the ground. And then we breathe out to release that. We're inhaling to lift the other side, left arm, right leg, head and chest. And we're releasing that back down. Let's repeat that. Right arm, left leg, head, chest. And release it. See if you can stretch right across the body. Left arm, right leg, from fingertips to the toes. And releasing that back down. Repeating 2 more on each side. And whenever you have completed, you will bring your legs back together. And slide your hands down by the sides of the ribs. Pushing into the mat as we inhale. And I suggest to at least briefly sit back to the heels just for a little counter stretch. From that place, we will bring ourselves into our first downward dog. So please feel free to move the down dog if required, pedaling out to the legs, swinging into the hips, maybe moving the arms. Now, as we find ourselves in this down dog, let us lift the right leg up. As you lift the right leg up, lead with your heel. So you're getting the pelvis still in alignment and balanced facing the floor. Now bend your right knee and open your knee out sideways, maintaining the balance around your arms and hands. And we will flick the dog. If this is too much, you could just step the foot down. You might reach your arm up over the head if that suits. And then lower down to sit from the flick. Just sitting down, you will face away from the screen. Bringing your right foot to the inside of your left leg. We're going for head to knee pose as our next stretch. So you might have a light flexion there in the left ankle with the toes pointing upwards. Use hands or fingertips on the floor to walk out to the sit bone. So we're getting really comfortable here. Then press down into those fingers as we're lengthening the spine, and your left knee could have a bend as you're folding forward on the owl breast, leaning the belly towards the thigh, letting the hands come forward at least just a little for now. You could even turn the palms of your hands up as you lower your forehead in the direction of the knee. Now you can just decide to stay here, but if you would like a little bit more or deepen the stretch in a slightly dynamic way, you can bend your knee so much that you can easily hold onto the ball of the foot. And that might not be possible for everyone, so please make sure that you are practicing with your body and not necessarily my suggestions. So while you're keeping your forehead towards the knee, and if you're holding onto the ball of the foot, start pushing the foot into your fingers, and at the same time, pull back with your hands. And you might be able, while holding that tension, to deepen your forward fold. So you can choose to hold onto this tension for quite some time as you pull back and push forward with the foot. And when you feel this is enough and you might have deepened your forward fold, you can let go of the pull for a while and let yourself kind of indulge in the forward fold. If you found this pushing and pulling action very beneficial, you would have time to repeat that once more. As you pull on your foot with your fingers, and the foot is pushing into the fingers while you do so. And if you did, release that again after a while, and maybe the posture has deepened a bit further. Have one more out breath here while you relax your hands away from your feet. Lengthen the spine as you come halfway out of the stretch and take yourself back up into a seated shape. With the right hand reaching down behind, we will take a big swing with the left arm, rising up onto the knee and extending ourselves. And you could then place your hands down onto the mat and lift your hips again for a downward facing dog. We will now either walk the feet forward if you need a bit of gentleness. So we're squeezing the knees back, the hips up, and we're having it jump towards the front of the mat. Take a breath in once you reach there to a half lift. And when you're exhaling, folding back down. Let's press down into the feet, rising up into an extended mountain. As we inhale, both arms are lifting. And as we're breathing out, we're landing again in our chair pose, hands to the heart. Establish again before you make any changes. So the whole feet are grounded, sit bones open, lower abs are on, and please feel welcome to just hold here. If you want to go a little bit stronger, the hands could go again into the side of the waist. If you want even more, your hands can both come behind the head again. So your choices, reconnecting to the lower abdomen in particular, the open sit bones while we're holding in this chair. And if that then works for you, you might peel your heels off the ground. Aiming for a bit more balance. As we land our heels, keep the shape and lift your left knee this time. Slowly, while you keep the right knee in a bend, extend the leg backwards as if nothing else is moving and land the foot into a lunge. While you bring a deeper bend to the left knee, start to open, pushing kind of the hands against the head as you're lifting your gaze to fully support and engage. And we're now extending both arms up as we take a breath in. And then bending over towards the open side as we're breathing out. Trying to find our balance here, back knee is still soft. We will then swirl that around as we take our hands together, placing the elbow potentially to the outside of the knee. Now we're going deep into the twist while we're pressing out now through the left heel, so the leg is now extending. Next step might be to open both of your arms, one hand pointing down outside of the leg, the other one up towards the ceiling. And then we will kind of create a windmill here as we're bending our back knee, reaching the front arm up over the head. The other one comes back behind. Gaze could be up or down. And the top hand then in another big windmill can reach towards the floor while you're lifting your right arm up to the ceiling into a deeper twist. Choices here to reach into a side plank. Unsupported, roll to the outer edge of your left foot. And then maybe lifting the other leg. Arm can stay extended. Or you could drop your left knee down and extend out through the leg. Let us release that into a plank or a kneeling plank. Tailbone draws down towards the heels. And with the out breath then lowering down onto the front of the body. Releasing even the forehead down. For this round, keeping the feet on the ground for now. Your hands can either touch with your fingers towards the temples or a little bit stronger yet still, both hands, fingertips lightly behind the head. Well, I will only do that with one arm, you will do it with both. As we ground down to the tops of the feet, take a breath in, lift the head to the chest, and the hands might rest on the temples or both hands behind the head. While we're holding here, quite strong for the upper back. If you want more, now is a good time to lift the legs off the ground and then hold yourself up floating there for a few breaths. One more breath. and then releasing down onto the mat. Let your hands come back by the sides of your ribs. A brief stretch back into a child's pose. We don't need to stay here long. We are approaching a forward fold through a slight detour. So let's come back up onto knees and then into downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg up, and again start leading with the heel so the pelvis is still facing downwards. Then bend your knee, and as you begin to open your knee out towards the side, keeping the balance in both of your arms. Then start to flick your dog. If you like, your right arm, left arm can reach over the head, or whichever side we're on. I've lost track now. So your arm can reach up over the head. And from there, I invite you to sit down, and you will face again away from the screen. Let your knee fall out to the side so the left foot touches against the inside of the right leg, which is now extended. We're turning the right toes up towards the ceiling. Our fingertips are down on the floor so we can shuffle our sit bones for a moment and allowing us to find a good seat. We'll then keep our spine long while we're inhaling. Knee can be bent on your extended leg, and we're folding forward the belly over the thighs. The hands might come forward. You could start with the palms of the hands turned upwards to release through your shoulders. And you might be able to lower the forehead in the direction of your knee. Checking in with what you're feeling and how your out-breath might be able to serve you. Serve you to deepen this shape. Now there's the same offering on this side that I had on the other. If you need to bend your knee more, but if you can reach for the ball of the foot with your fingers, you might want to hold on. Keeping your forehead in the direction of the knee, starting to press the ball of the foot into your fingers, and at the same time pulling back with your fingers towards your body. And maybe as you hold that deep tension, you might be able to extend the leg a little bit more. Don't be surprised if this feels different. And then relax that for a moment. Notice how you're feeling. Still bending forward. Forehead towards the knee for a deep extension of your back line. And if you would like to repeat the tension once more, press the ball of the foot into the fingers, pull the fingers back and hold. And then maybe a good time to release again. And allowing yourself to just breathe in this forward bend. And let your hands come back. Take the left hand behind you and swing your right arm over the head to extend away from the floor. We won't go back into a down dog this time. We will lower our hips back down and let both legs extend out towards the front. Letting both legs come out wide this time. Make sure you're grounded, you're able to move, and then bring your hands in front of the chest. As we inhale here, get an extra length up through the crown of the head. And as you're exhaling, then tap your right hand fingertips way behind as you lean back to the floor. And then inhale and pull yourself up straight again, hands touching at the heart. Keep feet in flexion and then do the same with the left hand fingertips. Tap them behind as you're leaning back. Inhale, pull yourself up to sit. And we'll repeat that a few times, leaning to each side. As you're tapping back, of course, we're strengthening the core, but we're also doing so as we aim to lengthen up in a deep seat when we're reaching our hands together again. We will repeat that once more to each side. And once completed, just sliding the legs in. Now, if you need to put on some socks to lie yourself down, we're almost there. You could do so. And we'll extend the arms out to the front, engaging through the lower abs as we're rolling down onto the floor. Let your arms release just for a moment and step your feet back down onto the ground. You might need to reshuffle somehow. Before you extend both legs up to the ceiling, we're leaving them there unsupported. We're still in a light inversion with fluids coming down from the feet to the groins. And we're lifting both arms again, just right up from the shoulders. So they might be shoulder distance. And so now the fluids are coming down from the arms in towards the chest. We won't hold here unless you choose to and just utilize this shape as an inversion. If you want to strengthen a bit more, lift up, reach your fingertips towards your toes. And you can lie back down on the inhale. If that's too strong, you can alternate one hand behind the head as you're lifting. If you still want a little bit more, you could, while you're lifting up, lift your hips as well. So you're reaching up now with the feet and the legs. And that movement of the hips could, of course, be way smaller than that of the upper body. We'll go for 2 more. And once you've completed those 2, leave the legs in the air. Bring the arms down by the sides, maybe the palms onto the floor. And we'll only do 3 rounds. But we're trying to reach our toes straight up to the ceiling. In other words, the hips just coming a fraction off the ground. Try not to swing this time, just engaging your lower core muscles or the deeper ones as you lift. And once you've completed that, you can bend your knees and give them a good hug. You might just take hands onto kneecaps and circle the legs for a moment, potentially away from each other. And no matter how you're circling, changing direction. It's then time to rest. If you want to cover yourself or pop a bolster, cushion underneath the body, you could. Maybe you're fine with feet on the ground, or you can let your legs come out long. If you feel a little bit more alert than at the beginning, where you might have had your eyes open, you could try and close the eyes for this Shavasana or resting time. But you might as well keep your gaze upwards too. So allowing your body to become still. As you come to rest, you might be able to return the mind to the color magenta, visualizing this color or a flower in its color. Know that divine wisdom is available to you. You might ask your higher self, this is a part of you that has incredible knowledge, wisdom, and compassion. Connecting with your higher self, you can ask it any question. Once you've formulated that question in your mind, let the question sit there while you return your mind to the color magenta. Allow a potential answer to float into your mind. Allowing that space for an answer to come rather than to force it. If you like, you could then in your mind extend and say, Divine Intelligence, please assist me to connect to my higher self and receive wisdom and guidance, which can bring me joy, love, and abundance. Allowing yourself then to rest in that beautiful magenta color. If you feel you would like to stay in your resting pose or Shavasana for longer, please feel free to do so. And maybe rest now your mind on the breath that is flowing in and out. If you would like to complete the practice with me, you could deepen your breathing and start to move the body a bit. Taking yourself from there into a seated position. And once you're seated, Touching hands together in front of the heart. A light bow to the heart, and the heart might lightly lift to the head. As we extend from this connected space to each other. Namaste.